Monica for your Tuesday morning mini sweat class. I guess she'll be joining us today. So we'll just wait a moment while Instagram sends out notifications. Okay, my friends, so I'm going to get you in and out in 20 minutes as fast as we can without my regular spiel, because Eshe has an 11:20 caregiver in me, or just yourself and dancing with whoever is in your house, or taking notes for your next Zoom call with relatives, or the next time you get together with family in a park, social distancing, at 11:20 on Facebook, on the Mahasti Facebook page. So you can jump right from here over to there. So I'm going to start the timer and we're going to get going. So today, I'll talk at you as we move. So today, I'm going to take you through, rather than punching through a whole bunch of exercises today, partially for information and partially so that you have the energy to dance with Eshe on Facebook in 20 minutes, we're going to go through alignment procedures. So that sounds really dry and terrible. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through 5 common exercises. We're going to do them, but we're also going to really slow down what we're working through. And I'm going to talk at you a lot, and you're going to be holding poses, and it's going to feel awful, but it's going to feel great later because it's going to help you avoid injury and have better form so that you get more out of the exercises that you're doing. Because proper form is stupidly important, but often if we're not taught it, or we don't actively think it through when we do exercises, and we do the same thing over and over time, we risk injury, we risk repetitive stress injury, or we don't actually see any benefits in the exercises that we're doing. So we're going to start with a plank position. So I keep turning the music down because I can't hear myself over it, so apologies. So first we're going to look at common mistakes that happen in plank, and you can do these either from your knees or from full plank. We're going to look at both and talk about the principles that apply to both. This isn't sweat on my head, I just washed my hair. I know sometimes I come in here a little dewy, but I washed my hair. So we're going to first think about the crown of our head. So feel free, if you already know this position, to get into it and then to adjust and really think consciously and actively about alignment today. If you're like, oh, I know how to do a proper crunch, Faith, I don't need to talk my way through it, then think about active alignment today instead of, I already know what I'm doing, I don't need this. We'll together work through it. So we're going to talk about, with this push-up position or plank position, crown of your head. So when you're in your position, which feel free to get into it, and you probably right away are like, oh gosh, am I doing it right? I don't know. Well, let's work through that together. So I'm going to drop my knees for a sec so we can look at this. Crown of the head is pushing forward toward the opposite wall. So we don't want to drop the head down, and we don't want to crank it up. We don't want any stress in the back of the neck. So you want to be looking down or slightly forward. If looking down causes your head to drop, we want to look slightly forward. So that would mean my gaze, instead of here, will be right here, okay? Second is in our shoulder blades. So we're going to come into tabletop position. Knees under hips, shoulders and wrists are aligned. And I want you to think about dropping your chest toward your mat or your floor. I just have a mat so I can stay within the frame. So you're going to think about lowering the chest, shoulder blades retract across your back, and then pushing so your shoulder blades protract. So they're going in together, out, in, out. And you should feel this right away. In, out, in, out, core contained, we'll talk about that. should your shoulder blades be here. They should not retract. They should not come in across your back. They should always be protracted so the back of your shoulders is pushing upward. Crown of the head is forward. Back of the shoulders are up. So take your gaze. Let's do this together. Gaze is forward. Head is long. Head is an extension of the spine, right? Now we're pushing through the shoulder blades. How about your shoulders and arms and wrists? We want to think about shining the elbow creases toward the front of the room. Not in, toward the front of the room. So what this does is it engages our lats to give us stability through the upper back. So we're pushing away from the floor, back of your shoulders are up toward the ceiling, and you're rotating without rotating. You're twisting and pulling the floor apart without pulling the floor apart. Back of the shoulders to the ceiling, elbow creases shining forward. Then I want you to extend your feet. Extend your feet. Heels are spiking toward the back wall. So they're not forward. They're not pushing too far. They're spiking toward the back so that, and this is where I'm going to get you. You might be wondering why you can hold a plank for 5 minutes when you haven't done any core. Is your butt here? Is your butt here? You want it right in the center. Core contained. So, if you, and I'm going to stand up, you can get on your knees if you want. If you, when you get into plank position, find that your pelvis tilts forward or your butt is up, and I'm going to tell almost every single one of us, I have to actively work to pull my tailbone toward the back of my knees. Not under, not toward. I don't want to scoop under. I don't want to scoop over. I want to keep my spine long so that my belly button is pulled towards my spine as my ribs are pushing up toward the back. So get into this position with me. You're looking forward, shoulder blades push up, elbow creases shine forward, heels spike back. You're tucking your tail so that, I don't want to say tucking actually, your tailbone is moving toward the backs of your knees. Now lift your butt, bring it down, come back to center. Tuck, butt up, drop it back. Your spine should be one long, solid line. What this might mean is you can't hold plank for as long as you think you can. That's good because you're actually working your core. If you are not tilting that, bringing that tailbone toward the back of your knees, you're not actually engaging your core. Your legs are doing the work for you. And yeah, you can hold plank for 20 minutes like that. You're not actually doing the work. Okay, so we're going to hold this for a moment. Push, push, push. You can bring your knees down. If your knees are on the ground, same principle applies. You're going to have to work even harder to contain that core. So, keeping your shoulder blades pushed toward the ceiling, I want you to think about bending your elbows. Bend your elbows. Bring it back up. Bend your elbows without dipping your chest. Bend. Up. Bend. Up. Don't drop your head. Bend. Up. Bring your knees down. All right. Is it terrible? Yes. Is it going to help you? Yes. Keep your butt down, keep your butt down, keep your butt down. So there's our push-up / plank alignment. So the same principle applies. When we come down into a push-up, these shoulder blades should never, they're going to have to protract when we reach the bottom on some occasions, but we should, that's a debatable and it has to do with the placement of your hands. But butt down, butt down. I bet you every time you get into plank, your butt's up here. Butt down, core contained. Pushing the backs of your shoulders toward the ceiling. When you lower, you keep the backs of those shoulders toward the ceiling. You don't dip your head. You come down, you come up. Great, now that I spent half of our time on plank alignment, which is actually the most important, and a really easy way to get injured or to not get any benefit from that exercise whatsoever. So, second alignment principle we're going to do. Your quads are going to start firing. I have a lot of notes on squats too. All right, so what happens, I want you to do your normal squat, how you would squat. Down, up, right? No problem. It's great. It's fine. It's not great. Squats are not great. but let's talk about our alignment principles. Again, we're going to think about belly button pulling toward our spine. Rib cage is going to move toward the belly button. As we sit back into our squat, we don't want to think about coming into our toes and down and sticking our butt out. Okay? We want to think about hinging from the hips, coming down till we feel our glutes, a stretch in our glutes. Now, look at where my knees are in relation to my ankles. Did anybody ever tell you knees never go past the ankles? Sometimes this is true. In a squat, in proper squat form, this is not incorrect. Or sorry, this is not correct. Just a second, my friggin' timer going. Okay, because ankle flexion is the really important part of your squat. Because we're using a hip hinge, keeping our core tight, the weight comes into our glutes and quads instead of our knees, and it allows this to move forward without bearing the weight into our knees. When we come out of our squat, you should feel this already. When we come out of our squat, our hips and chest need to come up together. Hips back, belly button to spine, so we don't want to bend back and then come up. That puts a lot of strain on your lower back. We don't want to damage the lumbar spine. Core containment, chest and hips coming up together. And what you can do if you find you come down, so what often happens as well, is you come down into a squat and your lower back rounds. And then you come up, right? So you come down, and then this is called butt wink. That's the technical term, butt wink. When your spine curves, your lumbar spine curves at the bottom. Here, I'll try and do it. Instead of staying contained and then coming up. So what you can do, and I was dumb and I didn't bring anything with me, you can take like two small like hardcover books or container lids that are raised, raise your heels, sit back, come up. This will increase your ability to increase your ankle flexion while you work on it, and stop butt wink from happening. Stop your lower back from curving and allow you to get further into that position. Chest and hips together. Chest and hips together. Chest and hips together. Perfect. Okay. Wow. Should do a whole series on this. We are quickly running out of time. So next we're going to look at lunge alignment. So hopefully with some of these more isometric poses as we're working on alignment, you're feeling it already. You're warming up. You're getting ready for Ashley's class on Facebook. So we're going to stand tall. We're going to bring our pelvis in. We're going to contain the ribs. So tailbone toward the floor, ribs toward our belly button. What we're actually going to do here is take our front foot, lift it, step it back into a lunge position. So let's look at lunge alignment. Your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings are working here. So Reverse lunge, yes. Forward lunge, no. Very bad. We now know this is terrible because you are coming into an open chain position, which means you're leaving the ground. You already have weight-bearing load on this part of your foot. Your knee is flexed, all the tendons here, and then you're putting additional force, which then often causes your knee to bear all of the weight as your body moves forward naturally. We want to instead keep the weight-bearing foot in a closed chain position, holding onto the floor, stepping back, take a wider stance so that your knee and ankle can be aligned. Here's where the knee and ankle staying aligned is important. Notice how this knee did not come forward. Now the weight is in my back leg. All of the work is happening in my quad, hamstring, and glute. Squeeze together, come up. Take your other foot, lift it up. You've got the weight-bearing load. We're going to step back, take a wide stance, keep your tailbone to the ground. Chest is contained, rib cage contained. Lunging back. So now you feel your glutes, your quads, and your hamstring firing. Bring it in. Lift. In. So the other thing, when you're in this position, your knee might want to wobble in or wobble out. It's more likely that it's going to wobble, kind of turn in. What you want is your knee to be tracking forward with your kind of your big toe, middle toe, not in, not out. So you're going to squeeze the inner thighs together, and you're going to think about almost, sometimes they say in yoga, think about pulling, squeezing your mat together or squeezing your mat apart. This is a squeezing together position without actually moving. Bring it together, lift, keep the closed chain, step back. You also don't want your feet on a tightrope. That will create instability. Think about train track. Between two little train, not the big train track, but the little ties in between, right? Yeah? Core is contained. Everything should be working real hard here. Squeeze together, bring it in. All right. Last alignment principle for sweat on Tuesday is our crunch position. I'm hoping we have time to move through each position one more time. We'll find out. Okay, so you're on your back on the floor. Your heels are, I wouldn't put them out here. I wouldn't squish them too hard. We're not coming up into a bridge, even though that was on my list of things if we had additional time. You're going to, again, tailbone toward the backs of your knees. Close off that position so there's no space between your lower back and the floor. From here, you're going to take your hands. They're going to come behind your head or beside your head. So if you find when you get into a crunch position, you're pressing your head up, even if your hands rest behind your head, you find you're cranking, pulling from the neck, don't rest your hands there. Put them beside from either side. We still want that lower back pressed toward the floor. Tailbone is shining towards the back of the knees. Rib cage is knitting toward the belly button. As you come up into a crunch position, your upper abs are the ones that are taking the movement, and you're thinking actively about pressing down the lower back so that none of your back is taking any of the engagement. Only the core, not the lower back, not the shoulders. As soon as you feel any cranking in your neck or that your back right here starts to take, if your back right there starts to hurt or starts to feel strained, you need to shorten your range of motion on crunches. Does that mean you won't come up as far? Yes, it does. But does that mean you're actually working your core instead of your back? Yes, it also does. So you're going to get the benefits of that movement, not the incorrect positioning, which is either strengthening the wrong thing, the wrong parts of your body are taking over, which then leads to injury and instability throughout the body. And also, you're doing all of this work with zero benefits. Zero benefits, because the wrong part is getting worked. So let's try that a few times. Lower back pressed, rib cage down. Hands are either making a pillow for your neck or they're beside your head. Come up, only as far as you can without strain. Pressing this low belly in, not pooching it up, press it down. Flatten it as much as you can. It's going to look different on all of us. And down. And up, hold, hold, hold. At your max range of motion with stability. Down, up, down, last one, up and hold. And relax. Woo! Okay, friends. I know that was... why won't it stop? Okay, friends. I know that was a very different kind of sweat. 20 minutes of alignment with these body positions. You can take these, I would say, if you have extra time after you dance with Eshe. Hop over to Facebook, Dance with Eshe and her girls right now, and Caregiver and me. Take notes if you have somebody that you want to dance with later, a young one in your life that you would like to get on Zoom and dance with, or social distancing in a park, or if you just have a cat that you want to dance with. But anyway, this video is for you to refer back to time and again when you're not sure how your form is. It's there to reduce pain, to increase your actual ability, your ability to use the right muscles, stability in the body. And you're welcome, Andrea. This is a big passion point of mine, is proper form. Always form over, like safety over like quantity, right? So when you're doing this exercise, better for you to have proper form and stability than to punch into anything. Never punch into anything. Yeah, I could talk about this for a really long time, but check this account for all the stuff that's coming up this week. No sweat tomorrow because it's Canada Day, but for now, I'm off. Signing out. Go Dance with Eshe on Facebook. Check this account for all the details. Come back on Thursday at 11:30 for another free class, mini drills with me. We're dancing, and you can make donations if you would like to go to Spectrum. Check this account for the details on that. Wash your hands, wear a mask. Have a great day.